Alright guys, so today we're going to be changing the Bellow. This one is pretty bad. We're going to be selling this. I tried cleaning it. I will show you how it looked before. And I've gotten them clean, but this one is pretty bad. So I'm going to change it. We had bleach soaking on it, special bleach, and it was about 100% bad, and now it's about 80%. Still bad. There's the model number, and we're gonna change that. So first things first, you want to remove this. If you look back there, you see a button. You push it, push and pull. It comes out. And give you a chance to clean in there if you want. You have 2 screws, one there, make that 3. Once they're removed, you want to go to the back. 1, 2. You're going to slide the top back, and then we're going to be on the inside. That spring, you got to remove that. And then you're gonna have your door switches, or switch. You've got 1 screw and 1 there. And I'll walk you through it. Alright, so that's the top. Okay, pay attention to the shape. Or if you want to put a small notation on it, that's the bottom. You can see it looks almost like a tub or a U or whatever. And this is the top. So if you're not sure, just put a note on there so that you will know that it is the top. In fact, that's for the Bellow. So yeah. Alright, so now we're ready to remove the spring. And it is very stiff, guys, so you make sure you wear gloves, especially putting it back on. It can grab your finger, pinch your finger. I do have some tricks on how to do it, but nonetheless, it's still pretty, it's a pretty good, intense spring, I must admit. Alright. Oh, so to remove it, couple ways. Like I said, it's a pretty stiff spring. And you can get a putty or a pick, and once you're under it, you can just pull it. It will pinch you, so I'm just showing it for the video. That's when I get my finger on there. It's not a big deal. Just pull around. It will actually be pretty swift. So make sure you just keep your finger out of its pathway. There it goes. See that? It grabs pretty quickly. And then you just pretty much just grab and pull. Now, key, you see that inner piece? That's how you're going to insert it back in. Okay? That inner piece goes between the tub. Let me give you some light. As I was saying, that inner piece that goes between the inner drum and the seal or the tub. So that's the same way you'll insert your new seal or bellow, and just go back around. Right now we're taking it off. and she's off. All right. In the meantime, we can go around and do a quick wipe. Make sure everything's nice and clean. Now, the only reason you should be replacing your bellow or seal is if it's moldy or you have a hole in it. If it has a hole from your drum rotating and bouncing and hitting it, then you have other issues that you want to deal with before you just replace that bellow. So keep that in mind. This is your inner drum and tub, and they should be in perfect alignment. They should not be moving up and down against each other. So, all right. So I don't know, this is probably one of the hardest part of the job, I guess. Make sure that that square is right there. Make sure everything is good. You gotta pop this. This has to go in, under. I can't show you the whole thing, but that goes under. Okay, and it basically just snaps over. Let's see if I can capture some of it while I'm doing it. So once it's in, you have your connections you have to still connect. Just look around, make sure everything looks good. Everything looks good. Now guys, the hardest part of this job is going to be that that spring, that. So not even sure how to tell you how hard it is. Sometimes I manhandle it in with just my hands. I was going to see if I can use a little system to help you in case you can't do it that way. So, all right, I'll set up and wait. Everybody will stay intact. I'm gonna grab this side. I need 2 hands, guys. But you get the idea. I really need 2 hands. So let's put you back here. And as you can see, it's a lot easier process. Figure share some tricks and tips, and you can see how it's going on. You don't have to rush or force. In fact, it's probably the best idea. This is what I use, and it's pretty straightforward. All right, moving on. It's all about control, guys. You have to control the spring, otherwise it controls you. Okay, now we have this side left. Look at that. One side is left. Okay. Everything's down. All right, that's the last. So what we do now, you can do it 2 ways. You can pull it over, or you can just pull the bolt out. I like to just pull out the bolt because it's a lot easier and you don't have to fight with it. If you pull it out, if you pull it over the spring, it's a lot easier for it to slip and you could lose it that way. So you're better off just extracting the nut or the bolt. All right, guys, before you wrap it up, just make sure you check all your openings and stuff. I mean, your connections, make sure everything's nice and tight. Make sure that it is all around and everything is connected, meaning your bellow, make sure the spring is grabbing everything, okay? And now you want to get your weight on before you put this piece on, because otherwise you'll be taking it back off. So take your screws back out, your bolts. You'll need those for your weight. And don't lose your screws, don't lose those. The one on the end is a lock nut, so it actually acts as a anti-vibration or rattle. So, all right, and you remember that's the bottom, that's the top. So we're gonna put those on now. All right, so now we're gonna put this guy on. Okay. All right, so 2 screws and 2 there. You can't mess it up because that hole, that's where the dowel is, where it sits on. All right, don't forget, put a zip tie on here. We're gonna put this back on, put a zip tie, but you gotta get the weight up here first. Take this out. And we're gonna tighten that, snug them down nicely. All right. Okay, so this is the weight on the top. Okay, make sure you get it on. Now, to get it on better, make sure you put the bottom weight on first, and that's gonna help to bring the drum down for you. So you're gonna have to push down on this, basically to clear that. So once you push down a little bit, you can get it up, okay? So now, once you've gotten them in, you gotta tighten. All right. Don't forget that zip tie. Now, if you have a light, your light would go in there. So this unit does not have, so no lights. All right, guys, everything is done here. If you're noticing that, that is basically a Pellegrino bottle cap. This unit that this Bellow came off of had a light. This unit does not. Everything's still the same. So for example, if you get one, let's say you order one and it came accidentally, you don't want to have any water flying up in it. So a bottle cap will do the trick. It's sealed, it's not going to hurt anything. It's definitely a lot better Bellow than the other one. This is it. Looks pretty bad, gnarly. I didn't want to put it back in there. So, pretty bad. But I might actually soak this thing for a week and see what it does. Heavy duty bleach and see if it comes out. So now, make sure you have a zip tie. Now, keynote, make sure the zip tie is not pointing or hitting this, because it moves and it could eventually cut it. So point it away from it. Make sure those are nice and tight. You do not want them coming loose. Okay, and time to put the front back on. Okay guys, so before you get this front on, there's a quick tip. See that bottom? You can set it right there. Okay, and that's going to allow you to plug this wire in. That's going to go right there. It's going to allow you to plug in your door switch, have your drill or your screwdriver, everything up here, so you can start your first screw right there, and then you can work your way down to button up the bottom. So have everything ready so you can, in case you're by yourself. If you have a hand, then you're good. And of course, your door switch, that goes there, and you're gonna make sure you route your wire accordingly. All right. All right, guys, so you have your 4 screws. Okay, one there, and of course over there. Make sure that if you're not lining up, just get a pick and just poke it in there and lean it to the left or to the right. They should line up just fine. So, moving on. Now, we have the seal. Now we have to go around, and then we're gonna put the spring on the outer. Make sure you have your door lock or switch connected and screwed in. Okay. And those screws are a little bit different than the other screws. They have a little bit of shininess to them, so make sure you use those. And then you do have 2 screws up there, and we're almost done. All right, guys, so keep in mind when you're putting this on, okay, start with right here in the corner. It's the hardest, it's the harder part. It's not hard, but it makes it a lot easier. You get that in, and then you can just continue around, and you should be fine. Now, you should have paid attention to where your spring was, so you can always write that down. If not, you can always reference your old Bellow, and if you look down in the top, you will see where the indentation of the spring was. In fact, you can see it right there. Okay, so that's a reference point in case you forget or you didn't do a video or whatever. So pretty much the spring sits there and ends pretty much right there. So see that extra lip? That's where the spring's gonna be. So, but if you didn't have this lip, that would be your reference point. And arrow's pretty straightforward right there. Tiny bit off, but it's not gonna hurt anything. So, all right. All right, guys, Bellow is in. Looks good. And we're pretty much done. We're gonna have a screw where the dispenser is and the cover, and she's done. All right, don't forget your screws at the bottom, screws in your dispenser, also the screws in the back. All right, thanks for watching.